Hello and happy Wednesday. Welcome to the WonderMama Coffee Chat. I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time joining us, here is what this space is all about. Every Wednesday, I sit down with an entrepreneur or a leader or a coach or a mom who is intentionally bringing good into the world, into motherhood, into entrepreneurship, into the lives of people around them. We talk about real stuff, and then after about 30 minutes here with all of you, we drop into a private conversation inside the Wonder Mama place, our community member space. So if you're already a member, stay with me, and because we're going to go deeper after this. And if you're not a member yet, the door is always open. Now, today's guest is Heather McNally. Saying your name wrong already. Heather McNally is an identity and alignment activator, a keynote speaker, a best-selling author, and the host of Life Beyond B.S podcast. I've been on it. She's amazing. She helps women who feel off, even when good looks good on the outside, to stop performing and come back to who they actually are. Oof, I know I needed that today. Today we're bringing into that conversation straight into the mama space, where the unsolicited advice and choosing ourselves and wondering what makes you feel good or bad as a mom, where we get to stop apologizing and just be. We get to be the children's mom that we are raising. And this is for women who are still figuring themselves out right alongside those kids. And so, Heather, welcome to the Wonder Mama Coffee Chat.
Leonne, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. I just adore you. And yes, Leonne was on my podcast, and we could just have conversations 24/7. Like, I just love this woman. She's amazing.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. I was excited. Like, our talk on your podcast was really great. And you really gave me some space to talk about some things that were big on our hearts. And then it turned into an us conversation, and that felt just really great. And so the topic today, because we could talk about a lot of things, is stop apologizing for how you mother. And I took that straight out of what you sent me. And I'd really love for you to just who are you and why is that important?
Who am I? So deep in my heart and soul, I'm a helper. I am a I want to help people. It's just something that's innately in me. I've known it since I was little. I thought I was going to be a school teacher. My mom was a school teacher, and I love kids, and I've always loved kids, and I knew I wanted to be a mom. And so if I could help children by teaching them and being somebody who could stand up for them and support them and show them who they could be, that's what I wanted to do. And long story short, I ended up changing my major because I changed colleges, and I ended up being a psychology major. Not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because we could all use psychology in our lives to help us understand ourselves and other people. And so one of the things I understood about myself from a very young age is I'm an empath, and I feel deeply, I care deeply, and I want to help people. So that kind of led me on the path of who I am. And who I am is a mom of two amazing boys. They are now 23 and 19, both turning a year older this in the next couple months. I am an empty nester now, which is beautiful, but also sad, because it happened so fast. But it's also beautiful because I've seen them sprout into these amazing young men. And I get to do what I do now for me, which truly helps my sons see me being an entrepreneur, me being somebody who went from very shy and closed off and not loving myself to I'm growing and expanding. And my word for this year was expansion. And that's what I want to do. I want to expand my life and others' lives.
I love that.
Mhm.
So that, I mean, that's a pretty big arc, right? So you started you started off wanting to help children
Mhm.
and then psychology and then, into motherhood and recognizing the what happened in motherhood. And
Mhm.
now the result are these two incredible men, that live outside your home now. I call it
Yeah.
empty nexting because we
Yeah.
are totally nexting.
Yep.
But why the shift from children? I know the
Mhm.
schooling happened, but
Mhm.
why the shift from helping children to this focused on, especially today, on stop apologizing for how you mother. Like
Mhm.
that's a really important distinction because we say I'm sorry a lot.
Yes, we do. So I will say that I was raised in a an abusive household. My father was my abuser. I thought of him as my monster, and he gave me those lovely limiting beliefs of you don't belong, you're not to be seen and heard. Nobody cares what you have to say. You're not worthy. Your value is only in how you make me feel and what you do for me. So I became a people pleaser. I apologized for everything everybody else did, like just for the world, like everything that happened. And I don't mean like if you lost somebody in your life, you say you're sorry. I mean somebody else did something and I would apologize for it. And then I would take it on. And so growing up that way, I had horrible, horrible self-esteem. I hated myself. I didn't think I was worthy of being a mom. So I think there was a part of me that was like, I want children to never feel what I felt. And so I had some teachers as I was growing up that were incredible, incredible, incredible. And of course, my mom being one of them. Now, understand that my father was the abuser, my mom was not, but my mom tried in her own way to shield us and to feel like she was helping us and saving us. Unfortunately, that's not what I felt being the recipient of my father's abuse. However, I did have a beautiful relationship with my mom. But it was almost like I wanted to be somebody who could help children not feel the way I felt because my teachers helped me.
Mhm.
I had one teacher who I will never ever forget. She was my first second grade teacher. She was my first grade reading teacher, and she was actually very, very active in the like National Education Association throughout the country. Back in the day. And she really saw something in me and helped me. She took the time to sit with me and talk to me and tell me that I was intelligent and show me things that a lot of people in my life, especially my father, weren't showing me. So right off the bat, she impacted me. And so I wanted to be that for somebody else. And like I said, you grow up and things change in life and you start to look at your priorities and what do you want to do. And like I said, college kind of changed for me and I ended up going to psychology. Psychology was fascinating to me, probably partially because I needed to heal myself, but also partially because I love to find out why the brain works the way it does and why we function the way we function. So give me all the brain science, give me all the information. I love it.
Yeah.
And so I think that, what I ended up doing was I became a stay-at-home mom. And my father, told me that I was wasting my life and my degree and my intelligence by becoming a stay-at-home mom. And something like that, even a few years before, because I was 29 turning 30 when I had my first son. Years before, something like that may have taken me down. But I was very strong in the conviction between my husband and I to do this because I was going to raise two human beings. And so I was like, well, you have your opinion. Yeah. Did it sting? Yes. Did I feel like I was wasting my life? No. And everybody has to come to their own decision as to what they're going to do. And sometimes the decision is, I need to put food on the plate for my children. So you have to work, right? That doesn't make you um, any less of a mom than anybody else. We have our decisions and we have our life circumstances that we have to deal with, and you do the best that you can in life, right? So right there, I was like, I'm not apologizing for this. I'm going to stand in this because my husband and I decided this, and I feel this is important. Did we have hard times? Absolutely. We had those times where we're like, all right, we're living on boxed mac and cheese and we're just getting by and we're doing absolutely what we can, but it's hard. And, I had times where it was hard to even like shower and get things done in the house.
Yeah.
But I was so strongly convicted that this was the right path for me that I may not be an educator in school, but I certainly was educating my kids. And I got to be a stay-at-home mom until my now 19, almost 20-year-old went off to college and started my business. So for me, it was absolutely the right path. I've heard plenty of people say I could never do it. I don't have the patience for it. That's okay. That's okay. You don't need to do what someone tells you. Well, if you're a mom, this is how much time you should spend with your kids, and this is where you should be, and you should never leave the house without your children, and you should never go on a trip without your children, or you have to do what's right for you in your life.
I love that, and many of my own stories and stories of many of my clients are, passing through my head of that
Mm,
sort of measuring stick of what makes me a good mom and am I doing it right? Am I making the right decision? Whether you're having to put your child in daycare and you have to go to work and you have to do these things based on your circumstances and decisions that you make. For many people,
mhm.
they feel like they have to make.
Yes.
And I love that you said, standing on your decision and being okay with that.
Yeah.
A lot of moms who do make that decision, they live in that sort of, it feels like your life is stalled when you're
Yeah.
home and you're
Yeah.
struggling with a toddler or,
Hmm.
or your kids go off to school and you have that tiny couple of hours where there's nothing really pulling on you and there's like guilt or whatever things that pop into your head that make you feel like somehow you're not participating in the life.
Hmm.
Or the mom who says, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to sit home and I'm going to homeschool my kids and I'm going to do all the things. And you know, all of those decisions
Hmm.
are perfect for you and for your family.
Right.
And when we question ourselves or we run ourselves up against that measuring stick that we create based on what we see out in the world,
Mm-hmm.
often find ourselves wanting. And another part you talked about was the hard. Like it's hard to
Yes.
be a stay-at-home. It's hard to be a mom.
Yes.
It's hard to be a mom, and it takes intention, it takes fortitude to do all of those things and also to keep yourself in your own conversation. And for me, that feels like the most important part here is like you are killing it as a mom.
Mm.
That's the moms that are trying. The only people that are having a hard time with parenting are people who are good parents. Good
Right.
parents struggle with parenting
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
parents that are not doing a great job at parenting are having no problems. Why?
Hmm.
Because maybe they don't have the capacity at this moment to really
Right.
lean in.
Right.
That's hard. That's when we
Mhm.
need some support. But parenting is hard. Being a mother is very hard.
Mhm.
And those teachers, one of the things that popped up when you talked about your first grade teacher that was really taught you
Mm.
was, do you remember your teacher's name?
Oh, yes, it was Kathleen Roberts.
Oh,
A
Kathleen
hundred
Roberts.
percent. Yeah.
Yes.
She
So
was amazing.
I don't remember the first name of my second grade teacher.
Mhm.
I know it was Mr. Ferguson. I know my second grade teacher was Mrs. Tall because she was short.
Mhm.
Um, but those people stuck with me too. Anybody who's watching, I'd love to know who your first or second grade teachers. Can you name them? That'd be really interesting to hear.
Yeah.
And if we can find them, we'll tag them
Yeah.
and just let them know, that they're still remembered. But also moms, I fully believe that moms, definitely parents, but moms are our very first teacher.
Mhm.
They teach us love and touch and sound and taste and safety and then so many other things. And then there's the other people who have decided, other women decided either a decision or not a decision to not become mothers. And there's
Mhm.
there's a stigma on there
Yes.
for there's a stigma in both ways. You're not whole unless you're a mom,
Mhm.
or you're less than because you're a mom. Society
Mhm.
here in the US does that to us a lot.
Yeah.
And then that other thing that you said you recognized that you were an empath,
Mhm.
and the stigma around being an empath, which I believe is superpower,
Mhm.
um, that moms have to hone. Anyway, I don't think I really had a
Yes.
question in there, more just a deep appreciation of that. But those first teachers, so
Mhm.
your mom and that relationship that you had with her, you know,
Yeah.
is really important. What do you think was the thing, and because you and I have similar backgrounds in our upbringing, but
Mhm.
what do you think was the part, like your father was your abuser, he was
Mhm.
a monster, and your mother, you were really close to. What do you
Yeah.
think that was that allowed you to stay close to your mom while that was happening to you?
So my mom was a school teacher and she was a very caring person. When I was young, I remember a lot of hugs. I remember a lot of I love yous. And I remember her trying to protect me. Now, was it the best way for me to be protected?
Mm,
Maybe not.
mhm.
However, I also can look back at my life now and say, if I didn't go through the experiences I did, I wouldn't be who I am now. And who I am now, I'm actually very proud of, and I actually do love. And I love that I'm able to look back at all of it and not hold it against my mom and
Yeah.
not say she didn't do right by me. I'm able to look at her as a human being and as a
Mhm.
flawed human being, like we all are, and say she made the best choices for herself with what she was going through in her own life, and she loved me. Now, she did unfortunately lose some of that ability to say I love you and emote sometimes through the years. But towards the end of her life, unfortunately, she passed away 9 years ago. But becoming faced with her own mortality, she was able to go, I love you again, and truly just put the emotion out there. And so we were able to have conversations. She was just a deeply rooted human being. She was close to her family. I was close to her family. So I was able to look at all of that and truly still feel love and truly feel connected to her. We loved to do things together. We loved to laugh together. We
Mm.
loved to sit and tell stories and laugh together. And I remember a lot of that with her family. So that kind of came with me because even though she made the choice to stay with my father, I still felt loved. I still felt protected. And I felt um, she was able to, it's like I feel like there was a duality in my household. There was my father, there was my mother. And she was fierce and trying to protect us, me and my brother. But she also showed us the beauty of life and the beauty of connection and family. And I still had that. I still
Mhm.
had that. So those were the things, you get to pick and choose what you want to do in life. And, you have to become aware of how you feel and aware of the situation, aware of what's going on and what you want and don't want. And over time, that's what I got. I got super aware of everything. And, I am an extremely sensitive soul. And that's part of being an empath. I feel things so incredibly deeply. And when I was hurting, I mean, I'm on the ground hurting. It was like I'd go in a spiral. I'd go down into really, really dark places. And, so I don't want to pretend in any way, shape, or form that I just had it all figured out. I've been in those places where I didn't want to continue, and many times.
Yeah.
And I think that being able to understand things, being able to become aware, start making choices that I didn't know that's what I was doing. Now I understand it. But being able to look at my life and say, no, that's not what I want. I don't want that cycle. I don't want that anger. I don't want that hurt. I want my boys, because I had boys, I always knew I wanted my children to have a childhood and to be able to love themselves and have fun and play. Because I bring that child with me still. And I always say, I love to play. I love to, I love life. I have a lust for life. And being able to, let my boys do what they want to do in life, of course, with parameters, of course. You don't just run out and run wild. But I really felt it was important for them to be who they are and to express how they feel and do all the things, but do it wisely. And so I've raised two emotionally intelligent human beings that I'm so connected with, that call me just to talk,
Mhm.
that, share their stories with me. And it's just so beautiful. So I love and I'm proud of the fact that I was a cycle breaker. But yeah, it was hard. Did I answer your question?
Yes, what I heard was of course you did.
Yeah.
What I heard was that through all of that, you became a seer and you were able to
Mm,
see your mom and you
yes.
were able to see yourself and your boys and your father
Hmm.
even.
Hmm.
And it helped shape the decisions that you made moving forward. It helped
Yes.
shape choices.
Yes, and I did say earlier, my father was my monster. But
Yes.
as you grow up and you start to see things and you start to see yourself and you start to question life and everything, like I said, my mom was a flawed human being. Well, my father is too.
Mhm.
And I took away the monster part of it because I could look at him and go, why am I letting this person, who's just one person, who has his flaws and his problems, define me? Why? No more is he living in my head. No more am I allowing that. Yes, it took work. Oh boy, did it take work because I took on the self-abusing for a long time. Just the way I spoke to myself.
Mhm.
Um, and now I can look and I can say, wow, he's a sad human being.
Yeah.
He has not lived a full life. He has not enjoyed his life. He has no connections with people. And do I feel bad for him as an adult? We get to make our choices in life, right? And his choice was to behave the way he did. But do I feel bad for the child that he was? Absolutely. And so I could look at my kids and be like, I've always had this connection with children. And I could look at my kids and I could say, how could somebody look at this little baby, this little toddler, this 10-year-old, this 15-year-old going through hormonal changes, but has the heart of gold and want to hurt them? And
Yeah.
so for me, it became more about I want to raise a human being that has strength, has resilience, has emotional clarity and understanding, and has a life that they can be proud of.
Yeah. I love that. So wrapping it back to not apologizing for
Mhm.
the mom that you are
Yeah.
and coming from all of the filters and all of the choices and all of the work that you do on yourself, and I'm kind
Mhm.
of talking globally, right,
Yeah.
is landing with exactly who you are is how we're able to choose
Hmm.
that sort of trajectory. I choose, right? So what I'm hearing is you choose to love your mother. You loved her until she was gone, and I'm so sorry for your
Thank
loss.
you.
Um, and you choose to see the flawed boy that turned into the man that was your father.
Hmm.
And based on those filters, you chose how you wished to live and mother. And
Exactly.
now entrepreneur
Hmm.
and pour those gifts that that pathway that you've
Hmm.
created for yourself,
Yes.
because what you've created is a path, a
Hmm.
way. You can light the I'm losing my word today. The flashlight
Yep.
that you can hold the flashlight for a path that worked for you. Um,
Correct.
and that is so important and so valuable. And I think one of the things when you and I sit down to talk to each other is that there's just so much similarity
Mm-hmm.
in the paths that we've had to go, and really being intentional about not passing on
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that we don't want to, and being a cycle breaker. And I would say for my older sons, they had the healing mom. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so for the moms listening who are still maybe battling and navigating some of those things of what I don't want to bring into my child's life, or is it too late and I've already ruined everything? What would you say to a mom who's going, I'm already hyper screaming at my kids, and I think that I'm not bringing the culture I want. What would you say to that mom?
Oh, it's never too late. Every moment of every day, you get to make a choice as to what you want to do, who you want to be, where you want to go. And so, you know, I think it's really important to know that there's no rule book, of course, of being a mom. But here's the thing, like, look at yourself. You are yourself. Your children, each one of them is a different person. The way that you're going to parent is going to be different sometimes for each of them, not because um, oh, there's no one way to do it, but we're all different people. They're all different people. So it makes me think of a situation where when I was young, when I had only one, I had a really good close friend who didn't understand why I took my son and said no to him about things. No, you can't do that. No, we're not going to get that. But then I would redirect him
Mhm.
because for him, he was a sensitive soul and it hurt him to hear no, and he took it personally. And so I would still say no, but I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's go do this or let's do that. I'm not taking back the no, but I know that he needs to be redirected. And so her oldest, she was like, nope. And that was it. She didn't want to hear anything. Well, then she ended up having her second, and I had my second. And she came to me and she said, wow, sorry I said that. Now I understand why you have to do that because this kid's so different. And so
Mhm.
that's the thing. Like, don't beat yourself up over the fact that your kids are different. You're different from your kids. Like my oldest and I are so alike, it's almost ridiculous. And we would clash because we're so similar as raising him. My youngest and I were not so much alike. There are things similar. He's more like my husband. They would clash. And so we had to learn over time based on our interactions, what worked, what didn't work, and things change. So there are moments in my life of being a mom that I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Why did I ever think that was okay to do? But what am I going to do? It happened, it existed, and now I can just try to be better. And that's the thing is always looking at it and saying, everyone says like mom guilt. The minute your baby's born, you have mom guilt for the rest of your life. And to a degree, yeah, it's true. But at the same time, why are you going to beat yourself up over things that maybe you did, but you learned from it and you did better? You made new choices. And that's life in general. Like I can look at my whole life and say, like you said, you're sorry for my mom's loss. I was devastated that I lost her, but I also look at it as one of the most beautiful things ever because I watched her and I learned about grit and resilience and choice and grace, and I learned from it. So look at what you've done in your life with your kids. Yes, I've screamed. I have made them go to their room and wanted to like blow up the house and run away, like not literally, but like I said to my kids one day, I got sick of hearing mom, 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 and I was like, okay, I'm changing my name, and until you guess what it is, you can't talk to me. And I made it like a joke, but I was dead serious at the moment. I was like, I'm ready, my head's ready to explode.
Yeah.
You can have the most beautiful experience as a mom and also have crazy hard times. When I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, so for all that time I stayed home with my kids. I had friends, I live on a main road, that would drive by and be like, "You're the stay-at-home mom that's never home." And I'm like, "That's right, because I'm always up and I'm taking them somewhere, or I'm doing something for myself, or I'm volunteering in classrooms, or I'm helping my mom because she was so ill for so long." But what I did a lot of was getting support. And I
Mhm.
did a lot of getting support from a mom's club that I joined. And, for the first about a year of my son's life, my oldest son, I was a stay-at-home mom, home by myself, feeling like I had the responsibility of having the house perfectly clean all the time, the clothes all done. He was always fed. He was always everything. Everything was done. Dinner was ready. He had made everything.
How many days did you fail?
Oh, so much. 5 months into it, I called my husband one day sobbing. He's like, "What is wrong?" And I was like, "This is hard."
Yeah,
And I did not want to admit that. It took me 5 months
yeah.
of not eating until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, not napping, not sleeping well at night because I'm up taking care of him, or feeling guilty or feeling bad that I didn't do something,
Mhm.
making sure everything looked perfect. And I was exhausted. I
Yeah,
was drained. Um, and I could say it with a smile on my face now, but back then, I called him sobbing.
yeah.
And I was like, I didn't want to admit it. I was stubborn. And I was like, I don't want to say this, but I'm exhausted. I am ready to just crawl into bed and shut the door for a month. I need, a friend of mine and I joked like, we'll take a light coma. Um, it was hard and I didn't want to admit it, but I had to.
Yeah.
And, that expectation that everyone has of you, like, first of all, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom, my father. Oh, you're wasting your life, other
Yeah.
people. Oh, I could never do that. That's like sitting around doing nothing. Oh, do you eat bonbons all day? Oh, the judgments, the everything that everybody thinks.
Right.
And so for me, it was like, yeah, I'm exhausted. And so being able to admit that opened up a door for me and allowed me to say, okay, if he's taking a nap, maybe I will.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
okay, the laundry's not done every single day. I don't care. Okay, so I can write my name in the dust. Oh, well. And it took me a time. It took me time, but then that's also, do I allow people in my house because my house is dusty and dirty and not clean, and maybe it smells like baby puke, and there's too many diapers in the trash and I've really got to get that outside. And it got to a point where I said, I need to worry about what's going on inside this house and inside my own head and body. I can't be constantly worrying about what other people are thinking.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it takes work and it takes time, but failure, oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Failure. Moments where I lost my ish 100%.
Yeah.
Did I yell too much? Probably.
Yeah.
Did I feel like crap? We went to McDonald's and got the McDonald's chicken nuggets and I should be cooking at home? Yep, I felt that. Um, Absolutely. There's failure in everything. There's
Yeah, and
failure in everything.
you're naming so many things that every single
Mm.
mom, I hope, is truly hearing because we're not alone. You're not alone. But one thing when we talked about like our have we messed up our kids completely? And one
Mm.
of the things that I'm hearing is that, you know, show them you building the boat around
Yeah,
yourself. Show
yeah.
them how to build the boat. Show them the work
Hmm.
that you're doing. You're not too late. You're really not. And repair is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, there is something really powerful about, I'm sorry I yelled at you like that. You didn't
Mm.
deserve that from me. And I'm trying to do better.
Yeah. And can I just say that really quick?
Yes.
I've always been told you never, well, my father, you never apologize to anybody younger than you, anybody he would consider lower than you.
Mhm.
That is total BS.
Yeah.
Because and I told my kids always, I will not apologize if I'm wrong, not wrong. If you did something that you should not have done, and I call you out on it, and you maybe get a punishment, you're getting spoken to, you're getting consequences, I'm not going to apologize for that because, and I've told them, I'm teaching you how you are supposed to live in this world. I'm teaching you right from wrong. But anytime I do something that's wrong, I will 100% apologize to you because that wasn't right of me. Nobody's perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. A situation or a moment can be perfect for you, but there's no such thing as perfection. So they deserve the apology when I was wrong.
Mm, totally.
Mm,
Well,
yeah.
we are at the end of our live stream.
Okay.
So, I hope that all of you who are, I'm pointing because you're over here,
Hmm.
um, all of you who are watching live, thank you so much for being with us. If you catch us on the replay, let us know. Hashtag replay. Don't forget to let us know who your first or second grade teacher was. That's and if you enjoyed this conversation, maybe you want to watch it back or share it with somebody. It will be available on YouTube and also where you listen to podcasts in the audio version. And thank you so much. And join me next week for the Wonder Mama Coffee Chat, where we are going to talk to Maria Garcia.
Mm.
She is the coach with the sexy voice, and I can't wait for you to meet her. And for now, have a wonderful Wednesday, a wonderful week, and I will see you then. And in a second.
Mm.
Bye.